Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? Good? Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining. Ira and I, we will try to make it easy, fun, and a little bit provocative, maybe even. So let's talk today about the search being reimagined. What is happening with AI agents and how AI agents are affecting the way that we search. But before we start, Ira,
Yes, so if you've been to my sessions before, you know that I like interacting with our audience. We don't have too much time, so we're not going to ask too many questions. But if you scan this QR code on your phone, you will have a chance to ask questions. And I think we should have a few minutes towards the end as we have this discussion. You think about a question, just type it in Slido. You can either just scan or go slido.com and enter THS as the code. And we should be able to answer your questions towards the end of the presentation here. It's a 30-minute presentation, so we'll talk for a little bit and then hopefully we'll have some more time for the Q&A.
and please don't be shy. This is meant to be a fire chat between us, but also between us and all of you. So let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT. What has happened? Well, what has happened is that we haven't seen this level of growth with a product implementation ever, okay? ChatGPT reached 1 million users in just 5 days. I mean, if we could do that with our companies, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. So obviously, we have to take advantage of that. And here a little bit of adoption statistics, just to set the tone for the conversation. Something that caught my attention, I don't know why, 64% of ChatGPT users are male. I don't know why. I really want to go into this. But the point
Here we are talking about this two women.
Exactly, as it should be. Obviously, we have a lot of information here, but if you look at the slide, you see that we have 1 billion daily queries. Obviously, more so than the million users that they got in the first 5 days. And of course, a lot of downloads. I bet that all of you currently in the audience have ChatGPT on your phone. And as a result,
If you don't, you should, right?
Exactly. Download it now because we're going to be talking about it. But as a result of that, obviously, what has happened is that we are all changing how we search. Let me ask you, how many of you are in a business conversation or in a family dinner chat and you don't know the answer of something and just grab your phone and dictate something, asking a question to ChatGPT? I bet that all of you are doing it, right? Yeah. To me, Google search, I'm sorry, I was with Google before, but Google search is dead because it feels like talking to us. You're just asking questions in a way that we humans talk. We don't have to think keywords, we just start a dialogue. No wonder how ChatGPT has taken the search.
And you know what, so just sorry, one more comment. What's interesting is the kids are adapting it faster than we are because to them it's just so much more natural. I have 2 children. They don't even hesitate. They just walk around the house talking to the devices, the Google Home devices, which is AI agent essentially built into a hardware. And they just talk to it and it answers their questions. So they don't go in the Google and type, they just ask using voice. So it's much more natural for them. This is how I know it's going to be adopted very widely. Thank you. Very widely because it's very intuitive.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously we are all searching differently. But how is that affecting us in our industry? Well, the point is that users are there and they are already asking ChatGPT for travel questions. To give you an idea, 1 of every 5 users in the whole world are already using ChatGPT for their travels. I am using ChatGPT for my own travels. And we expect that to move drastically. The biggest challenge that we have here is that if the audience is there, where are they going to book? What is going to happen to our industry, right? Because right now we have the search, but we, in theory, don't have the bookability. So we need to think about how ChatGPT is affecting how we search, what is it that we are searching, and when we are expecting to see the shift on conversion on ChatGPT. So let's start with the first question of the day today. Ira, when AI is searching, obviously when we are searching on AI, how will you make sure that it picks your brand if you were a hotel?
That's a multi-billion-dollar question right there, right? So this is what everybody's talking about right now. This is what everybody's freaking out about right now. And I think what we need to start with is to differentiate first that there is search and there is booking, right? Two different concepts, which one follows the other, but we have to think about them in those two buckets. So when it comes to search, again, as Mercedes pointed out, Google search is shifting towards AI search, and they're actually pretty drastically different. In the Google search, as you know, you type in just 2 or 3 words, keywords, and then you get a ton of blue links that you start scrolling through forever to get to the actual booking page, right? With AI search, what's the main difference is that the entries, the queries are much longer. On average, they're 20 words, and they're 80% unique. So there's much more context in the query. That's one. And second, which is the biggest impact and the biggest change that is happening right now, is that the result is not a long list of results. It's 3 or 5 options, right? So again, the multi-billion-dollar question is, how do you become part of those 3 to 5 recommendations? So the answer is, it's actually not rocket science. There is actually a pretty logical algorithm behind how AI differentiates and prioritizes the results in the response. I just published an online learning course on the topic. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you can find it. But it's honestly pretty simple. There's 5 things that you need to do. As any business, hotel business, or any other business in any other area, first, freshness of your, actually no, first would be the structure of your web presence. It's the technical structure on the back end, which is becoming much more important than it was with traditional SEO search. And then also the front end structure of how you structure your text on your web page. It's no longer just soup of keywords, long list of text. It has to be snippable. That's the new term that we're all using. So short, structured paragraphs, Q&As, bullet points, tables, comparisons, something that is easy for AI to just take and quote. So the easier you make it for AI to take little chunks, little pieces, the better chance you have to actually being quoted. So the structure is number 1, very important. Number 2 is freshness of your content, meaning how frequently you add more information and you refresh your information, which is becoming very critical because 80% of the results, the quoted businesses by AI are the ones that have been publishing new information within the last 12 months. So number 2 is freshness. Number 3, your presence online outside of your own website. So your third-party presence. And whether we want it or not, we have to be listed on OTAs as hoteliers. You have to have a Google business profile. You have to be in Google's hotels platform, TripAdvisor, and anywhere else where you are listed as a business. Number 4, reviews. You have to have reviews. They have to be, try to make them positive because AI aggregates and does semantic analysis to derive the overall sentiment. Number 5, I don't remember. Number five, consistency of your brand voice and the consistency of the naming conventions of your property and your room types and amenities and everything else. So if you have like different names for your room types on different platforms, AI is gonna get confused. So those 5 things, again, not rocket science. If you start doing them right now, you're gonna be way ahead of the game. If you need more details, just again, find my online course, but those are essentially the basics.
So the challenge really is that obviously we were there when the internet happened, and it's hard for us to think 20 years ago what it was going to happen, because today is very obvious. We all know how the internet works. We all know what is that we need to do to be there, but we don't really have clarity into how to be there on AI. And the challenge is that if you compare the evolution, the adoption of users of ChatGPT today versus what it was Google 20 years ago, this is a real game changer. We have to be there. So when AI is searching, imagine that we live in a perfect world, okay? You are the travelers and you are organizing your next trip. And you ask the question, okay, what is it? Help me find this hotel in Atlanta next month. I'm gonna go with my kids for a long weekend, whatever that is. That's the user. But from the hotel perspective, again, ideal world, we are discoverable on the AI. But how do we make sure as hoteliers that the link for the user to book is redirecting to the place that we want to be redirected to? In other words, our direct channel.
Yes, that's another multi-billion-dollar question, right? So remember when I said that we have to separate the search process from the booking process. We've done the search well. We are now part of the results, part of the answer, part of those 3 to 5 recommendations. Now what happens next? Are those recommendations including our own link to our own direct website or Expedia or Booking.com? That's the main question there from the booking standpoint. And in order for you to make sure that that is your direct website, you need to also do a few things. First of all, again, you have to make sure that your website is structured properly, and especially on the back end using schema.org format. If it's a complicated word, talk to your web developer or your booking engine provider. They'll know what that means. That structure is much more important right now than it used to be. And you want to make sure that you're exposing your availability rates and inventory and that your booking process is easy. I've seen that many times with my own eyes when I ask ChatGPT agent and I say, book me a hotel in San Diego for blah, blah, blah. So it goes and finds a recommendation and it tries to make a booking from the direct website. And the process is just so confusing, it gives up. And it goes to Expedia. I've seen that many times. So make sure that your direct website booking flow is easy. And because it's as irritating for humans as it is for bots, if it's complicated and multi-step process. So that's important. And the second important aspect is make sure that your value that you offer on the direct website is at least equal or better to the value that you offer on the OTAs. And one last thing is provide more information, rich content for the travelers on your own platform, because OTAs are cookie cutters. There's only that much that you can add to your listing on the OTA, and there's that much that the traveler can see from that information. But travelers are now asking more richer, more contextual questions. So the more information you have on your own website that can answer those questions, the better chance there is that the AI is going to actually pull that from your own website and cite your own website, not the OTA.
So 2 questions for you. Obviously, you all raised your hand when I was asking at the beginning if you had ChatGPT on your phone. Have you tried to book on ChatGPT or any other AI agent? Raise your hands.
Not a lot.
Only 2?
Not a lot of people.
3? Okay, wow, that's a surprise. Then another question for you. How many hoteliers are in the audience?
Good bunch.
Okay, that's good. How many of you are doing something related to what we are talking? Okay, good. I want those questions after. I'm interested and intrigued to see what it is that you are doing. Okay, let's keep going.
Yes, question for you, Mercedes, now. So when AI finds you and you're part of the answer, and let's say that it is your direct website that it found and recommended, what is the next step in that process? How do we make sure that the actual booking, the transaction happens? What do we need to do from technology standpoint to make sure that the transaction actually happens in your booking engine, in your direct website channel?
And that's exactly what I was asking you, what is that you are doing? And I will be interested to continue the conversation after. But obviously, there are many companies, even a lot of startups, trying to get into the game of LLMs and being on top of it with a different model context and all of those things that we've been hearing of. The problem that we have is that we have the users, but we don't have the inventory. You just don't.
ARI is not there, not exposed.
Exactly. We have Booking.com and Expedia, and they have the inventory. The experience is far away from being frictionless, if I must say so, because for those, only 3 of you try to book, but I would encourage all of you to try to book, to experience from your own body what it feels
it's painful. It's painful.
It is very painful. But the point is that if we as hoteliers don't do something now, we are already losing the game. As simple as that. We are out because the big ones are doing it already. And I don't think that we have the luxury of not being on AI. We just don't. So there are companies, like I said, startups trying to figure out, in particular, for instance, my company, Lighthouse, with the acquisition to the hotels network, we've been trying to build something on the back end. But the problem that we had is that we had the back end built, but we didn't have the front end. But they just made a solution possible. I don't know how many of you saw it, but a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Booking and Expedia. ChatGPT made a step forward and they announced apps. But what does that mean? Does that mean, because when I first read the announcement, I thought that, oh, the app is going to be embedded on ChatGPT. But it's not quite so. What happens, they just call it apps, okay? And what I wonder here is if we are facing the next industry standard. Because when iPhone launched the apps back in the day, Android and others had no option but to do the same. So ChatGPT just set the standard. The others will have no option but to follow. And now we have to connect our hotels to that model. In other words, we have to develop that connection to the front end to be visible and bookable. I'm not saying, I mean, if you want, you can talk to me afterwards, but what I'm saying is that we have to do it, okay? Ina and I, we want to be very provocative with the audience here today because, like I was saying, if we don't do it, others are going to do it for us. And we don't have the privilege of being left out of AI. I don't think that we do. Don't you agree, Ira?
Absolutely. And those others are the usual suspects. And I don't know how many of you guys know about the announcement that was made by OpenAI on October 6th, where they announced the apps, and only Booking.com and Expedia are the only 2 apps that were allowed in the platform as of right now in our space. The only 2. And those are the only 2 are OTAs. So they didn't give us any chance to allow the direct bookings in the existing implementation. And we're hoping that they will follow it with an announcement that, hey, now everybody can incorporate their apps. How is that going to go? We don't know. But Mercedes' company is working towards helping hotels to provide their inventory directly in their direct channels in those platforms. But it's hurting us, I think, even though there's a small portion of bookings that are actually being made right now in those platforms. But that is growing. And the fact that they started with 2 OTA platforms, not direct booking channels, it's already a little scary. So as an industry, we need to unite. First, we need to be educated on the topic, which is you're here. So that's great that you are working towards learning more about it. But we need to unite to present a united front for those AI platforms to give us an equal chance to compete with online travel agencies in that search and booking funnel, which is becoming a huge booking funnel. It's not just a search funnel, it is a booking funnel. So it's just a matter of months, not even years, before the scale starts tipping again towards OTAs, and we might be asleep at the switch again, and we might lose another battle. So good timing to wake up right now and start implementing direct bookings using the MCP standard.
So the last question that we had is how to stay on top of this, right? Coming to these environments, having open conversation, establishing the standards as an industry. Because the problem that we have is that, and I believe that all of you would agree, we are slow. And if you are slow in a fast-growing environment, you are out. So we have to be on top of the game, understanding the business implications and develop initiatives to help us be on top of that. So to finish our conversation between Ira and I before passing the questions to all of you, here are 4 things that we believe that all hotels must do to be or to win, to bid on this game on the AI-based distribution. Because let's face it, this will be another way of distributing our inventory. Ira?
First of all, as I mentioned, make your hotel or your website AI readable. So do implement AI search optimization, AEO, GEO, whatever they call these days, but it's a must. You have to adapt your web presence to optimize for AI search. That's number one. Number two,
Obviously, once you are discoverable, you have to be bookable. If you don't open the door for your guests to come, they will go to your competition. So once you are there, you need to make it easier for them to book.
absolutely. And then definitely, if you don't want the OTAs to steal all your bookings after you've done so much hard work to actually be present in the AI search result, if you want them to go directly to your hotel, then implement the things that we just discussed. Make sure that your value is either equal or better. Make sure that your booking flow is seamless. Make sure that you provide rich content on your website so that there's a high chance that what AI is going to pull is your direct channel, not the OTA direct channel. And also implement, of course, MCP, work with your booking engine provider to make sure that they expose inventory and availability in MCP standard using connectors or using their own technology or any of the other wonderful startup companies that exist that are working towards building that technology. And definitely stay up to date on the developments because things happen very fast these days.
And last but not least, I feel like we've been talking about personalization for years. Still, we are far from being there at personalizing. Don't get me wrong, we are hospitality. We are great at the experience. We are terrible at the pre-stay personalization experience. But the good news is that no one has more information about the guest than AI, because they gather all of that and they are learning and improving. So we need to leverage that to hyper-personalize through AI and book through AI the right way with the right offer to the right person, yada, yada. So we know the basics. So with that, I think that it's time that we open to the questions of the audience. And let me remind you, in case you weren't here at the beginning, this is the QR code that you can scan to ask any questions. So let's check if we have any. And if you are shy with that, I'm sure that we have a mic if you want to stand up and say something.
Let's see how hard you guys have been working with your questions.
Okay.
Is yours loading?
It is. It
Okay.
is. I have two questions here.
Okay.
The first one, it is anyone doing this well?
No. So I can start and you can finish. So it depends on what part of the industry we're talking about. If we're talking about hoteliers, I only know one company that has implemented MCP and is testing it actively out of many hotel companies that I interact with on a daily basis. Most are kind of very cautious about actually bringing it to life and starting to use it in public use cases. But when it comes to the technology, the vendor part of our industry, there are very many companies that are actively building really cool solutions to help the industry try to solve for this and again, not lose another battle to OTAs. So the vendor community is very active. And again, Mercedes' company is a great example of these initiatives. But when it comes to real life use cases, using MCP and using AI search optimization, we're just slowly starting to wake up. But it's happening. And again, the idea is that we don't have that much time. It's a matter of months, not years, not decades, which we're used to. It's just months before it's going to be too late. So,
And we have a problem because we are an industry that tends to do paralysis by analysis. It's better to make mistakes and learn from them and move on than just wait and see, because obviously we see what happens. There is another one that it says, knowing what influences AI recommendations, can you advise what is the best bang for the buck for a hotel's marketing mix? Here is the challenge. It's a black box, okay? We don't really know how all of the recommendations are happening, okay? With SEO and SEM before, we knew exactly how things were populating, but we don't know yet. There are a few things that we do know, but we don't know the whole algorithm behind it. So that's very, very challenging at the moment.
Yeah, I would add that there are actually interesting solutions popping up in terms of tracking your AI visibility. So similar to how we have Google Analytics and we can see our analytics and performance in traditional Google search, similar concept companies are emerging, and there's quite a few. I personally know of at least 10 good platforms that you can use, and I think I would invest in that right now, because the more history you have, the better you have to plan your strategy. But invest in those solutions that track your performance on AI platforms and your visibility. How they work is essentially they recommend a number of queries, typical queries that are relevant for your business, and they track those queries, the results frequently on different platforms, and they show you, okay, your visibility score is this much today. A month from now, you've implemented, let's say, AI optimization strategies in your company, and then a month from now, your score went up 10 points, for example. So, and they give you a lot of different other kind of statistics about your performance online with AI platforms. So I think that is where it's a good time, good to start. Again, a shameless plug, take my course, AI optimization course. You will learn a lot in 2 hours. And there are some very logical things that you should start doing today because most companies don't. And you will be ahead of the game if you start right now.
This one asks, what partners are needed to unlock this? LLMs, payments, commerce provider, inventory provider? Well, the good news is that AI lives on the internet. The bad news is that most of the hospitality brands have ignored the direct channel and not even consider the direct channel part of the distribution strategy. And now, in my mind at least, I don't know if you would agree with me, direct is what is going to be connected to AI.
We hope so. We hope
So
yes.
I don't think that you have to redo the whole thing because all of you already have a website and you already have a booking engine. The point is about how to make sure, one, that is your hotel, the one that comes first when someone is asking about a particular property in a particular destination. How do we do the ranking, okay? And Ira was covering a little bit about all of the things that you need to do to make that populate first. And then, if you have already the booking engine in place, ideally, you don't need to develop a new technology for this. It should be connected directly through your booking engine. So in my mind, what you need is a bridge, is a connector between the two. I don't think that we should start building the house through the roof by developing something, which is something that, by the way, I believe that we have a tendency of doing. Because in this industry, we tend to believe that we are digitals and we tend to overbuild things. I think that we have a very solid vendor community, and AHLA does a great work. We've been part of this vendor community trying to figure out this. So come talk to them, come talk to us, but you do not need to do this on your own. There are things that are already out there for all of you.
I would say your booking engine provider is the first partner that you need to start the conversation with. If you are a franchisee, of course, ask your brand. But if you're an independent hotel operator, talk to your booking engine provider and make sure that they are exposing API through MCP standard protocol to AI for AI platforms.
I think we're out of time.